Hey everybody, I just wanted to say thank you for 100 subscribers. I am so excited and I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying my content the way that you're doing and even interacting with me on social media. I'm really, really, really grateful that you guys like my work and are super supportive. So let's keep growing the way that we are. And again, thank you so much for your support thus far. I'm so, so, so grateful. Bye. I hate it when people say I'm eating my emotions because that's something I won't ever do. If given the choice between food and emotions, I most certainly will choose food. Nobody eats their sadness. I imagine it would rush up your throat and choke you again and again, wondering why do I have to feel this way when I'm just trying to pass you on to the next stage of my digestive system. You make me cry. Who wants to swallow depression? I'm sure they tried, and the probable reason why no one lives to tell the tale is because they've all died. I'm not eating my emotions, I'm drowning them. So when I eat, all I'm doing is building up a fort to step on, to get me a little higher so that at least my fat nose can get some air. I'm trying to bury them, leave them way, way underneath the depths of my soul so that I don't feel the pee at the bottom of my mountain of mattresses made of burgers and fries. No one eats their emotions because, quite frankly, they taste horrible. So in place of sorrow, I grab an Oreo and some soda to wash it down in place of my tears washing down my eyeliner. I'm making the better choice. Don't I seem smart now? The Taste of Emotions is one of those poems that kind of I put in here when I was putting together the book. Was like, okay, what type of topics do I want to talk about, and what do I feel like, especially when it comes to like mental illness, particularly my mental illness, and my mental health rather, what were the different topics that I didn't think were being spoken about. And stress eating and using food as a coping mechanism was one of those things that was never really like spoken about, even though I've kind of like witnessed it in my own life and my family's life and relatives and friends and stuff. You get to a point where you almost start depriving yourself of food because you can't tell the difference between eating for comfort and eating for survival. And then it's just the eating disorders start there because now you end up on either side of the spectrum. So for those who don't stop eating, they end up on the obesity side. And for those who do, may end up being anorexic and stuff like that. And the poem hopes to highlight some of those things and some of those, like, let's have that conversation of like, number one, it doesn't matter what type of body you have, you deserve to eat. And, let's stop using our emotions as excuses to deal with things, because that's what the poem talks about. The poem talks about using food and more specifically overeating as a coping mechanism. And it's like, let's stop doing that. Definitely what I hoped to achieve with this poem was maybe an understanding. There are many ways and many things that people use to cope, alcoholism, drug abuse. Some get very violent, and then some become addicted to exercise or TV or books or whatever it may be. And some of these coping mechanisms are not necessarily seen as bad things. And even with the overeating, it wasn't like something that in my family life I was being told like, oh, you are overeating because you are depressed. It comes with like side comments. This poem is definitely one of those things that was inspired by what people would say to me. Because again, especially when it comes to mental illness, a lot of people just think like being told, hey, stop, is like, oh, why didn't I think of that? I could just stop. Like, really? Like, can I? Like, oh my gosh, how could I not? Like, why didn't I think of that? Just stop, dude. And it's not that easy. So it really hopes to kind of like have that conversation around, let's find better coping mechanisms for our emotions. Let's find better ways to deal with our things that don't involve having just two choices of like, it's either I commit suicide or I eat, you know, like there's more to life, and let's have that conversation. It's basically what the Taste of Emotions is, kind of taking you into that headspace of a person who uses food as a coping mechanism and is like, and they're trying to justify, really. It's sort of like satirical in its nature. It's like trying to justify why you would be overeating, and why people should not judge you for that. But also in itself, it's kind of like a cry for help. It's like, this is kind of what a cry for help would look like, because somebody's not going to come and tell you, hey, I'm using alcohol as a coping mechanism, help me. They're going to try and justify it or find a way around it. So yeah, that's basically the conversation that I'm trying to have with the Taste of Emotions. You will constantly try to find a way to run away from these things, and it doesn't have to be that way. But I hope you guys enjoyed the poem, and yeah, see you next time. Again, thank you for 100 subscribers. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you want to see more content like this, and click on my other poem videos and book reviews and bookish content for more of this face. Probably looking better, but like, I've been home for like 2 days and I don't feel motivated to put makeup on, so fresh face.